Good to see everybody again. Hope everybody's good. Obviously, we signed our class in December. Still a fun day to just kind of re-celebrate this amazing group of young people that are coming to Clemson, and a lot of them are already here. We signed 23 guys, as y'all know, in December, and for mid-years. They're off to a great start. Just a lot of, knowing that here and be part of spring practice and just kind of getting everything down right now. They're all learning, so you spend all this time recruiting them, and now you have a chance to really start coaching them. So that part is exciting. We'll end up adding probably three or four walk-on guys between now and summer, as well. So just a really good group, and as I always say, time will tell. Everybody wants to put rankings and all that stuff on these classes coming out of high school, which obviously that's all based on potential, what people think they can do, and as we all know, this is a developmental game. Garoppolo, I think he was a recruit, and where'd he go? East Illinois, something like that. It's a very process, influence factors, and so we look for. Sometimes it matches up what else thinks, but I think at the end of the day, this is a really, really good class that I think over time will prove to be a special. We all think right now. You have to prove that, and that's why I always say you should rank the class, 4 years later, because then it's truly about performance. It's about graduation. It's about and all those things. And I don't know. I think the Athletic just did an article. I'm not sure if you wrote it or not. Who wrote it? Whoever Max is, I don't know who Max is, but somebody sent it to me. Who sent that article to me? But basically, I guess they took the 2016 class. I think we were 11th. The article, and I think 4 years later we were. So there you go. You just, if you sign the 15th class today, just be excited about the class that you got and the guys that came to play for you. That's just how I look at it. Again, I think that you got to go prove and earn that stuff over the course of time. But I do think they will prove to be one of the best groups we've had and allow us to continue to be one of the most consistent programs in the country on the field, because these are a bunch of really good students that are coming in here, and people that are to be excellent in everything that they do. In recruiting, it's always your needs, and I think that we've done that for sure. The breakdown of this class, it's always hard to walk away from other great. That's the hard part, because there's a lot of good, really, really good players that we could have come to Clemson. We try to recruit to a number and just our needs, and I think we were able to do that for sure with these 23 guys. But what I love more about this group is I always say, let's recruit people first, players second. And I think we got a bunch of great young people that just happen to be ball players. What I'm excited about, especially going around and spending time with them and being around their families and so forth. But last year's class, we had 14 states represented. This year, 12 states. And Canada. And Tony and Grish went up to Canada, I guess last week, that's just really cool for me. Again, going into my 18th season here at Clemson, and just where our brand is, and the fact that we can go out to California and recruit great players, or go to Texas and get a great player, or go to Connecticut, or go to Canada, or wherever. I just think it's just really, really cool. But with the criteria that we have in place, with the fit that we're looking for, with the academic expectations and the value of education and all those things that we value and have in place here, we've as our brand has grown, it has allowed us to expand and really be very selective on who gets the opportunity to come here. And the kids that we are recruiting, they have the opportunity to be very selective too. So it's been a pretty good fit for us, these last couple of years. But, man, a great group. We signed 1 quarterback, as you know, 2 running backs, 6 offensive linemen, 1 tight end, 2 wideouts, 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 safeties, and 2 corners. And then soccer signed a kicker that we expect to be able to help us as well. So we're excited about all of that, and, again, just very thankful. I don't think you can overstate that enough. Very thankful for this group of young men, this group of families that really came together. And a lot of these guys, I mean, they've formed great relationships already. So I'm just thankful for them that they chose to come and be a part of what we have here at Clemson. And really appreciative of our staff, because they do an amazing job. And just spending the last 2 weeks on the road every day, going all over and seeing some of our summer enrollees that aren't here yet, but also seeing some of our top upcoming senior prospects, and just the job that our staff has done in really with their due diligence, and it's just a lot of fun. So our staff's done an amazing job. Super proud of them, and really just can't wait to get started with this group, with this team, and the 15 mid-years that are here is going to be a lot of fun. We got a bunch of guys in that group that I think will have the potential to help us for sure, and so that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to create a ton of competition this spring, and that's just the way it is. It doesn't matter what you did last year, whether you won a national championship or you went 3-9. It really doesn't matter. You got to start over, and you have to go and earn it all over again. And it's really that way at every level of football, because you have a new team, you have new people, you have development, guys get better, and so forth. So I'm excited about it. And again, having those guys here is going to be awesome. And this roster is pretty much here. We've got, I guess, 8 mid-years, 8 summer enrollees that will come this summer to join the group. So, and we pretty much have the entire roster here this spring. So we're really fortunate in that, because that allows us to practice in a very competitive way and develop our team. So I'm really looking forward to it. Right now, as our roster sits and everything kind of settles out, and I have no idea. Sometimes a guy will come to you, after spring ball or something, and tell you he's not going to come back, and those type of things. And I can never predict those things. Logan Rudolph's going to go. He's going to go be the new Rock. He's going to be in the movies. I didn't see that coming. Although if that's what he wants to do, you better watch out, because he'll probably be the next action hero. I'm putting my money on him, that's for sure. So sometimes things happen, and you just don't you don't know, and you can't predict it. But where our roster sits right now, assuming everybody's back between now and in the fall, of our 120, we're going to have 42 seniors and juniors and 78 freshmen and sophomores. So that right now is the breakdown. And again, that could change between now and August, certainly, but that's where we sit as of today. Back-to-back years where I think we've got a young team, and that's reflective in our signing classes, because we signed a big class last year, and for us, another big class this year, signing 23. This next year's class will not be as big. But that's just kind of the cycle that we're in right now, and from a roster management standpoint. So we're ready to roll. We're going to take a little break Coaches have been grinding really since, we got back January the 14th, and I think we all passed out on the 15th, and we were right back at it on the 16th, and have been gone really every day, except for maybe a day on the weekend, recruiting, and then back out. And so it's been a crazy last couple of weeks, but a lot of fun. And exciting to get out and see a lot of people and meet people. But we're going to take a little break after we got a little celebration tonight, a little barbecue in our indoor facility. We'll have some fun with that, and with this signing class, and all the mid-years will be there. So we'll celebrate this group a little more formally tonight, and then we'll get back in here next Wednesday as a staff, and really crank it up. So we got a lot to do from a quality control standpoint, and really studying ourselves and reinforcing the strengths, and attacking some of the weaknesses, some of the things that maybe we didn't do so well. Obviously, it's a lot good. It was a great year, and we were one of the best out there offensively, defensively, really across the board. And we got a good group coming back, but it's still a different team. And so, identifying what our expectations are for the spring, the goals and objectives for offense, defense, kicking game for spring practice as a group, but also positionally as a segment. So those will be things that we'll be really spending the next couple weeks on, and again, looking at all of our data from the season, and then studying other people. Something that we spend a lot of time on the spring, doing, and just trying to get better, all of us. So our all-in drills, our mat drills will start next Wednesday. That's always fun for us, kind of first time to kind of get back on the field with our guys and start doing some football movement stuff, and really start kind of building the makeup of this team. And we're going to start practice February 26th. So it's kind of become our norm. We're the last off. And I don't know if anybody's starting before that, but if we're not the first, we're one of the first, back on the field. And I love that. We're very blessed that we've been able to, have a lot of time to keep practicing and staying basically in football shape when you go all the way as far as we did. So turn the page. Let's get on the field. We got a lot of guys eager to get out there and get at it, and that's what we're going to do. And then our spring game will be April the 4th. Great group. And excellent, a fun day. I don't know if any of y'all are coming to the barbecue tonight, but we'll have a little more in-depth conversation about those guys. With that, I'll take your questions.
What about two walk-ons today, Hunter Helms and Bubba McAtee?
Yeah, I can't talk about the walk-ons today. I think I'll be able to. I think once we start spring practice, once they kind of get through all the application stuff that they got to go through, then I can formally talk about the guys that, like I said, there'll be 3 or 4 guys out there that we'll bring in this summer, but compliance said I could not formally talk about that today. So there you go.
Coach, I'd like to get your first impressions of DJ, and obviously everybody knows about his arm talent, but many have characterized him as more of a Ben Roethlisberger type as far as his running ability, but Coach Streeter was telling me that his athleticism is really underrated. Does he fit what you like to do pretty well, just from a running quarterback?
He can do anything. That's what they said about Trevor, too, when he came in. He apparently wasn't a guy that could run. I think that myth has gone out the window. DJ can do anything you want him to. He's fast and strong and powerful, and he's a very, very athletic guy. So there's nothing that we need him to do that he can't do.
Yeah, but what does it mean to have Travis back? And was any part of you surprised that he decided to come back?
Well, the answer is no. I was initially surprised a little bit because he really told me before the bowl game that he was really leaning to coming back. Because usually when I meet with these guys, and we have a ton of information, and Woody does a great job of really kind of managing all that and meeting with the scouts and getting the grades and really getting a detailed report on exactly where these guys are. Not all the .com stuff, but exactly where they are. And it's just very important. And so when I meet with these guys, because sometimes, it's a waste of my time, so I always ask them, I'm like, before I ever even tell them anything, I'm like, what's your mindset right now? Because I've had some guys, it doesn't matter what I tell them. I mean, I could tell them, I've had some guys that I've told, you're not going to be drafted. And they'll look at you and say, I think I will, and they leave. So, okay, at the end of the day, they got to make the decision, and they have their mind made up. And, I mean, so there's really no sense in us sitting around, having a big in-depth conversation if they've got their mind made up. But I will say, well, here's kind of where it's going to be, and they'll say, well, I'm good with that. And then sometimes you have guys that see the bigger picture, and some guys are patient, some guys are not patient. Everybody's motivated by different factors, and they have different dynamics in their lives, whatever. It's really unpredictable that way. But I usually ask them kind of where you are. And so when I sat down with Trav, that was the first thing I said. I said, I knew what his grade was. I knew what the comments were. And I said, tell me what you're thinking right now before we get into this. And he said, honestly? And I was like, yeah. He said, I'm thinking about coming back, Coach. And I went, really? So that surprised me a little bit, because I felt like he was probably going to be more, well, I really want to just kind of see what you got to say before I get into it. But he really was kind of leaning that way. And he and I said, well, why is that? And he told me why. And I said, okay, well, we got a conversation that we need to have then. Here's this information, and let's talk about it. And let's talk about what that means and so forth. But so I wasn't surprised after the bowl game that, he said, hey, I'm coming back. And he was pumped up to tell me, and he's enjoyed his time, and I think that for him, he got a second round grade, and I think for him, if he leaves here as a second rounder next year, I mean, he'll do cartwheels. But he's got his degree. He feels like he's a little more ready. He feels complete. And I just think, leaving early for him as a second rounder, I think he felt a little incomplete. And so I think he's the best back in the country in this period. But obviously I'm pretty biased when it comes to that. But he's got a great future ahead of him, and I'm excited about the fact that he's back. He'll be a great leader. He's been awesome already. We got him for another, I don't know how long. We don't have not long, 9-10 months or so, 9 more months or so. But I do think that's got a chance to really, really pay off for him. So should be fun. It's nice to know he's back. I'd already given his number 9 away. Had about 10 people want his number 9. These old boys, man, they're vultures. Vultures around here with them numbers. So had a line of guys with 9. I'm like, yeah, not so fast. Had to find another number.
How did he tell you?
How did he tell me? Well, he called. He called me and Woody, and we were having a team meeting. I think it was that Friday. We were having getting ready to start recruiting, and I like to kind of get a new team together and kind of give everybody some direction when you come off that last game, and because it's kind of limbo time. So we were getting ready for a weekend and our banquet and all that stuff, and so he called me before that and told me he was on his way back, and he took a day and about 2 days to really think about it and talk through it with his family, and so that's what I found out. He just called.
Dabo, with the change in the recruiting signing dates to December and the success of the program going so further into the year, how much has that affected you guys as far as implementing your recruiting plans?
It hasn't really changed anything for us, to be honest with you. I mean, if you guys that follow us, y'all know the great majority of our class has usually been committed in the summer, usually by August. So to be honest with you, most of our guys would sign in August if they were allowed to. So it really hasn't changed anything for us. The only thing that's changed is we actually take that day in December to, sign the guys. That's really the only thing, and that's been fun. Just kind of the last couple of years, it's just a part of what we do. But that part hasn't changed anything. We don't do spring official visits. A lot of people do those. That's a new rule that passed a couple of years ago. We've not done any. We don't do any spring official visits. I just think that again, it's easy to take an official visit. It's a little harder to come on your own, and but you got to really be interested to come on your own. So it's just kind of been our philosophy. That's what we do. But it hasn't changed anything for us, with the exception of it's changed our January for the better, because our guys they've all signed, and so now instead of spending all of January riding around, chasing. Cause a lot of our guys are mid-years too. For whatever reason, that's kind of what happens in today's culture. So last year, I think we had 17 mid-years. This year, we got 15. So most of those guys would be signing anyway in here. So the opportunity those guys have to get it out of the way, it's been great. It's been great for us. It's been great for them. And so we still go see those guys in January that aren't here yet, but really it allows us to kind of get a head start in our evaluation for next year's class and start, really working hard on that due diligence and zeroing in on next year's group.
Yeah, what was your conversations with Chase? Ultimately, his decision to go to Duke and everything.
Yeah, it was great. We spent a lot of time talking together, and I called David. We talked about what the options were, and just making sure we get in the right situation, the right spot. I mean, I love Chase. He's been amazing, and to me, just as I've said many times, graduation should create opportunities and options for young people. It's just the way it is, and he's put the work in, and he came to Clemson. He achieved what he came here to do. And the fact that he's gotten his degrees created some other opportunities. It's like another senior, moving on, whether they're moving on to a job or they're moving on to the NFL. And what he did on the field here has also created opportunity for himself. It's not like he's some slug that nobody knows. I mean, this guy can play. I think he's a pro. Personally, I think he's a guy that's going to really have a great shot to play at the next level. I think we had the two best quarterbacks in the ACC on the same team last year. It's what I think. I think he's that good. And so, I tried to give him some he was great, and especially how he handled it. Because I'm going to tell you, Chase, he prepared every single week as if he was the starter. And he was into every play. I mean, Chase and I would talk a lot during games. And he was very in tune to the game, very in tune to Trevor. He's making suggestions, telling me what he sees, and he was almost like a coach, but he was very in tune to what's going on, and just such a selfless young man, so committed to his role, and so prepared to go win the game. And he played. I think he probably played the most snaps of any backup in the country, where the starter didn't get hurt. I mean, so he's got a lot of tape, and a lot of opportunity to play and develop. I think that was important to me, for him to have that opportunity, because he deserved it. And we never even talked about it. Never. First time, I've assumed maybe it would be something he would consider, but he wouldn't even entertain the conversation, ever. He was just focused on what he was doing and this team and being a great teammate and being ready for his team. He once the season was over, he called me when we got back, and we had a good talk about it. We met, and we talked about kind of some options and kind of what we were looking for and what he was looking for. I'm very, very happy that it worked out for him to go to Duke. And, I called David. We had a great conversation. Coach Cutt's one of the best people I know. I mean, he's one of the top 2 or 3 people that I would call for anything. And so just a ton of respect for him. And I think, and obviously he's got a great background with quarterbacks. And so I think it's a good fit. He's got a couple of high school teammates up there. So I think it's a great opportunity for Chase, and super excited for him.
Dabo, how have the guys handled the past month? Because a lot of them hadn't lost before.
Yeah,
You understand?
yeah.
Have they
Yeah.
come back and handled things the right way and,
Yeah.
got focused the way you want them to get focused?
Absolutely. I mean, listen. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's a tough thing to lose. I was at the Super Bowl this weekend. I was really, really excited for the Chiefs and our guys, but man, I was really, really down for the other team because I've been on both sides, and oh man, it's tough. You put so much into it, and the season has to end. But you know what? I'd rather have to deal with that feeling than to never get there. And I like the fact that we were a ACC champion team, we were a Fiesta Bowl champion team, a playoff win, and a few plays away, and we got beat by a great team. And when you play in the games like that, you're going to play a great team. We're 6-3 in the playoff era in those games, and they're hard. They're hard to win, and you got to make the winning plays. And there were some winning plays that we didn't make that they made, so they won the game. And but our guys competed, man. Our preparation was unbelievable. I mean, just tremendous preparation, focus, commitment. I mean, I can't be more proud of our team. And so, it was a great year. But as you said, the great majority of our roster never lost a game, and so from that standpoint, it was something that I paid close attention to, especially with Trevor. I've never experienced a loss with him, but it was. He was amazing. How he handled it, how the team responded, and back to work. It's a gut punch. I mean, just for sure, and you're down for a couple of days, and especially with our profession and with what these kids are doing. I mean, we all come up short sometimes in life. We all have disappointment. We all fail according to the objective. But most of the time, that failure, that disappointment, is confined to a small group of people, or just your business that you have, or your family. But with what we do, it's in front of everybody. And you feel that pain, you feel that burden, because you want to get it done. So again, I've been on both sides of it, and I know the agony of it, and I know the joy of it. But it's all good. It's all good, and it's all part of life and the journey, and you got to love it all, man. You can't have fear of that type of stuff, and you just grow. You just grow. Either way, you grow. And that's a decision and a choice, how you respond to the win, how you respond to a tough loss. And our team has been amazing. The leadership's been great, and it's been good for me to be able to kind of see that because, again, so many of these guys, I was convinced we were never going to lose again, like ever, like 250 in a row and right off into the sunset. But we're probably not going to win the national championship every year. But hopefully we can be a team that's got a shot year in and year out. And if we can continually be a team that's got a shot, then, we'll have those years where we'll finish it. And it just takes so much to get there. So our guys have done a great job. Trevor was great. He was very disappointed. He was disappointed, but his leadership was tremendous. He went around the whole locker room, talking to his team and his teammates, and these guys have been great. So you know what? As a competitor, I have a great respect for the team that won because they won it. And you shake your hand, you shake their hand, you tip your hat, and you dust yourself off, and you get back up and you get back in the fight, and that's what we're going to do. Man, it's over. It's over. So it's a new year. It's, like I said, a new decade and a new journey. And for us, we're 3 weeks from today, we're back on the field, man, and we're going to start the process of building this 2020 team and getting ready for 6.5 months. We'll get back on the field, going to Atlanta. Our schedule's out. I can start kind of visualizing that a little bit. And again, most of our guys are here, so we can start really molding the team and see what we can do next year.
Coach, you lose 3 of your top 4 safeties. How much do you think Mickens and Venable will be able to come in and compete for that 2 deep with Zanders and Thornton and Charleston and Turner, those guys that you got coming back?
Well, they're here, so they're going to have the opportunity this spring, so that helps them for sure. But let me tell you, we knocked it out of the park with these guys we got. Our roster is very good. Obviously, having Nolan back, and now you throw in Zanders and Charleston, and we redshirted Ray and Jalen Phillip. We hit on all those guys. All those guys can play, all of them. I mean, we're really, really fortunate with the group that we have, and now you throw in Mickens and T-Bone, man, you got a group right there. So we're going to be just fine. Same thing at corner.
Coach, DeMarcus Bowman is named Mr. Football in Florida today. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Oh, that happened today?
Yes, happened today.
Yeah, he's special. I mean, he's he's another version of Spiller. That's kind of when I first put my eyes on him, and that's pretty high praise, And he's a long way from that, but as far as just high school tape and explosiveness and track speed, legit track speed, the ability to catch the football. Every time he touches it, he literally can, go the distance, could return and those type of things. I mean, I think there's a lot of similarities between the two, coming out of high school. He's a little thicker, probably than CJ was, but he's got that type of explosiveness, and it's easy to see, coming out of the system that he's been playing in.
Injury-wise, are there any guys that might miss the start of spring?
Well, Niles is a guy that's still nursing back his ankle, and so he's rehabbing through that. We'll know more once we get here through these next 3 weeks. But Booth we had to clean his knee up. He should be back. Might be a little limited early, but at some point he should be able to get back out there and do what he needs to do this spring. He really kind of battled through it all fall, but it was still good for him to get the experience that he got. So that'd probably be the main two. Then, as far as the guys like McClure, we know's out, and Maloney and Constantine, those guys might be able to do some individual type stuff, but nobody really knew. Nothing new that's come up other than whether or not Niles, where he's going to be with his rehab schedule.
Blake Vincent, someone you hope can play this spring.
Yeah, and I think Blake. I don't know if he'll be cut loose for the spring, but I do think he'll be able to get a significant amount of work, football work. Football movement type work. I don't know that he'll be cut loose to go scrimmage, but hopefully he'll be able to get back into the groove of football and just the footwork and some drills and things like that. Snapping, he's a guy that one of those guys that we've cross trained, so we're hopeful.
What was some of the feedback Travis got as far as what he needs to improve on?
Oh, I'm not going to get into all that. I mean, it's pretty nitpicky if you ask me. If I was in the draft this year, he'd been my guy if I needed a running back. I know there's other great running backs out there, but he's pretty special. But we'll talk about those things. We've talked about them, and then we'll go through spring, and we always do exit interviews April, May, and we'll talk about some specific things that they need to do, but not going to get into all the stuff that's reported because it's pretty detailed. But from a big picture standpoint, he just needs to continue to be consistent, just continue to be a complete player in every aspect of it. And I think he's done that. I mean, he just needs to just stay the course.
When you look at the way that y'all have recruited the D-line over the past several years, what's been the biggest key, you think, to that?
Well, evaluation. I mean, I think that's the big key. We've been on the right guys, and really not just the last couple of years, really since I've been the head coach. I just think our ability now to go, and 10 years ago we weren't going to go get Brian Brzee. 10 years ago we weren't going to get Christian Wilkins. So we've had to really evaluate well, and Grady Jarrett. We've had, and then development. Grady, Deshaun, Josh Watson, Miguel, Malachi, Shaq. We've had some Dodd. Dodd was a guy I don't even think anybody even knew who he was, and he was a great player. And Vic was a developmental guy. So, I think we had to really evaluate well. And, occasionally we got the guy that everybody wanted, but not all the time. So evaluation and development has been our key. And then as we've had success, we've been able to get more of a finished product type of a guy. A Christian Wilkins, a Dexter Lawrence, Andre Branch. I go back to Andre. Andre was a 2-star recruit. So that's the biggest difference is just the guys. A lot of these guys coming in now. Now we took 2 developmental guys last year in Rook and ET. Really high potential guys, but they only played football their junior and senior in high school. They were soccer players and basketball players, but high potential. So, but definitely developmental. And some of these guys now that we're signing, they're just much further along when you watch them. And that's why everybody in the country is recruiting them. Is they're just kind of guys that can like a Christian, like a Dexter, who can pretty much help you the day they show up. So that's the biggest difference. Our evaluation is still critical. Our development is still critical, but we're just where we are brand wise, we're just attracting more of a finished guy.
Y'all are really off and running for 2021 already. How seamless has the transition been with Coach Bates taking over that role, and how much do you think Coach Streeter kind of enjoy not having as many responsibilities as far as that?
Oh, Todd's been great. He's a natural, but listen, Jordan Sorrells, you got to start there. Jordan is, and now he's running our recruiting. He's the director of recruiting, and Jordan just does an amazing job, as does Ty Clements and Lindsay. That's kind of our group back there. They've done a great job, but the transition, of Streeter and Todd has been seamless. And Todd's just he's a perfect fit for that role. He's passionate about our program and the way we do things and identifying the right guys. So it's been good. It's been really good. Off to a good start, and like I said, it won't be as big a class this year. We're going to probably be in that 15 to 18 range. Right now, again, the roster can change, but that's looks like where we're going to be.
What was your overall evaluation of the receivers in the 2 playoff games?
The receivers did fine. I didn't think we played great against Ohio State. I didn't think we had some good moments. I thought we played a lot better against LSU, but we just missed some plays that were there. We just didn't make them. We just missed them for whatever reason. And but they did good. They did solid. You're playing elite guys, and a very small margin for error. And we had some good plays. It was a tough break on T at the end of the game. That's a play that a lot of times doesn't get called, and sometimes it does, and it was one of those sometimes. So you just live with it, But there was a lot. There was a lot more there. We didn't do a good job on third down. Is the biggest thing. Probably should have been at least 5 of 11 on third down. And if you're 5 of 11 on third down, well, that's just the style. The game is different, the flow of the game. And even with that, we had a shot. It's a 3-point game in the third quarter, and you get that touchdown to T. It's 10-point game right there, and there's a lot can happen. But we just didn't quite put it. We just didn't have some of those winning plays that you got to make, and they did. They made them. They had plays where we were just you couldn't be in a better spot. Right here, and the ball's right here, and so you got to tip your hat and keep moving. But we missed some plays.
Looking back, do you feel like you leaned on the running game enough to create maybe some of the more shorter third down and distances?
No, we had a little bit of both. You know, I mean, we again, if we're more consistent on the third down, then there would have been more there. And then all of a sudden, you get in the fourth quarter, and the spread is different. And you know, probably got away from some of the base things that we do. But I don't have any regrets. I have none, zero. Just wish we could have found a way to get it done.
Dad, when you talk about those ready-made D-line guys, what about Trey Williams and where you've seen him since he got there?
Yeah, he's y'all gonna love Trey. I don't know how many of y'all know him, but y'all will love him. Clemson people are gonna love him. I was up with his family in D.C. last week. His mom came in, and he's got his because he's been living with a host mom and dad, but they're all family and friends, and because he's from Connecticut, goes to school in D.C. At a great school up there. So awesome support group. But we just had the best time last week having dinner and hanging out. And he's got a big personality. He's a very self-aware kid, very smart, and a dynamic type player. I mean, he's got a little bit of a Christian Wilkins type of personality in that he's kind of a natural leader and things like that. But he's coming off of surgery, and he's getting better. He's still got a little ways, but by summer he should be able to be cut loose full speed. But I think he's a guy that can play the nose. He can play the three technique. He can do a little bit of it all.